Alright everyone, welcome back to the shop. Sorry it's been a little bit. It's been super hot here. It's been 100 degrees in the shop every day, and kind of everything we can do just to keep moving, trying to get this drift build finished up. Anyway, before we get going too far, I just want to talk about the last two videos. 2 videos ago, we had a video that was 8,000 views, and the last video was hardly a tenth of that. And the only difference was you guys hitting that like button. So I guess YouTube is really strongly pushing that like button on analytics, and I just would love to see what happens if everyone that watches these videos goes and hits that like button and just see it go to the moon. So if you have a second, please hit that like button. And I don't want to bore you guys. We've got a lot of work done, and I want to jump right in. So let's get into the action. I mean, we need to get right into it because I want this LS Swap D46 fired up in this video, and I cannot wait any longer. So we'll stop working when it's running. Not a ton of stuff went on this past week. S2000's pretty much sitting, but the BMW has had tons of work done to it. So we'll go over that right now. Obviously, yeah, suspension and wheels and tires are on the car. Really excited to start seeing some of the fitment. Had to steal the motons off the E46 because the feels have not come in yet, and the exhaust. Finished this up last night. So we have 3s into a 4-inch exhaust on this thing. I'm really excited. This thing's rock solid. I've got great hangers on there. Really excited about that. Yeah, everything on the back is basically ready to go. So maybe tie a few things up. I put the wideband sensor in, so hopefully that'll make tuning this thing a little easier. Drive shaft's in. Did have a little bit of an issue on the drive shaft. Did not realize the T56 Magnum and T56 have different output yokes. So I had to drop this drive shaft off and get the yoke swapped to a T56 Magnum. That's done now, so should be good. Fuel filter, fuel lines, everything's pretty much good. Got the primary O2 sensors. Chris made this little heat shield yesterday to cover up the fuel lines and brake lines as they come up here past the header. Control arms on the car. All the front suspension is good to go. We'll play with that in a minute, but engine wise, I think we're almost ready on this thing. Super cool having it all come together. Weird not having a splitter on the car. I might still have to put a splitter. I know it's a drift car, but I just feel like it needs one. Alright, anyway, power steering lines. So power steering's hooked up. So I've got these little adapters. Got some stainless line that runs up to the cooler. Actually see through the bottom of the cooler right up there. And I've got a big hydraulic hose, and it sneaks behind the alternator and goes right up into the bottom of that turn 1 power steering pump. So this side here is going to kind of get foam tape, seal that. But stock E46 radiator fan, because that thing's super powerful. Kind of see the other radiator hose here. This thing was really tight to get it to curve around, but it all fit after some tinkering. Let's turn this a little bit. Got to show you this wheel. So the last time we were out at Hallett with this car, we were definitely having some fun. But check out this wheel. At one point I caught the inside of the curb on the corner called the bitch and drug the car around with it. Let's see if I can show on camera just how bad this thing is. So there's a big crack, runs all the way behind the weights, and then we've got 2 more big cracks all the way in. Yeah, I'd say this thing's on its last session. Pretty spent. I think I'll weld it back up. It'll be fine. It's a drift wheel. Brake lines, some stuff got a little janky. Had to get longer brake lines for the angle. Speaking of the angle, okay, just back straight off this wheel. Look at that. You know, you know in cars where Lightning McQueen like does his ka-chow move and he just puts his front tire angled at the camera? This is that. This is the ka-chow. Just, it's crazy. It's gonna be a lot. Be a little bit to get used to, I think. So clearance wise, we're close, but we're definitely gonna get caught up in here. So I think this whole area here will probably end up being removed. I see a lot of people do that. Bodywork wise, we're not going to deal with bodywork right now. We'll get there eventually. So yeah, let's get this thing lower down. I'll show you up top. Alright, back down on the ground. Man, I think I've actually got that corner towed in a lot, so it's not quite as aggressive as this side is right now. But it's so much angle. So excited. Anyway, one thing I did, I think maybe we talked about it, but these strut towers were super bowed up. So I actually made some plates, and let's see, where are they? Okay, here's one. So this one on the bottom, and then I made a top one. Ah, here it is. It's a mess in here. And then I made a top one, nice and thick. That one on top. And we sandwiched these together and flattened them back out. And then I actually made ones to leave on the car. So there's a top and a bottom. And of course the strut now comes all the way out here. So most of this is just to get the track width moved out so that we can run a decently low scrub radius. And it seems to have worked. I mean, the tire sticks way out here, but the scrub radius isn't that bad. And man, it turns so far. So that's cool. If any of you need these like reinforcement plates, the bottom and the top, let me know, because I've got that CAD file drawn up. And it's pretty basic. We got lines. So let's see, we got our breather, tiny little separator. I've just got a vent on that side for now. All this is hooked up. Fuel line now comes up in here. All the brakes are done and everything's bled. We have a little adjuster here to turn up and down the rear brake bias. Of course, it's a bias adjuster, not a real bias adjuster, but it seems to work okay for drifting. And we've also got a brake switch down here to wire up to the brake lights. Apparently, it's in the rules that it has to be on the front circuit and within a foot of the master, so that's done. Clutch line. Got lots of block-off plates to build, but we're getting there. Guess I'll mount these. A couple zip ties. So on the interior, not a lot has changed, but all these pedals actually work now. I got a real working throttle pedal with a stop, and a bled brake pedal, and a bled clutch. So I am missing a bushing on the clutch pedal, so it's a little floppy. Work on that. So battery cables are routed, so pretty happy about that. Chris got this done yesterday. Got a cutoff switch mounted, and then a return drain from the alternator. Then this is going to mount the handbrake. So let's see, that goes like that, and then I think I sat on it earlier. There we go. And then that's going to kind of go like that, and there'll be standoffs to hold this up. And then this will hold a little keypad to be able to turn everything on and off. We're probably going to have to move this kill switch up onto that pedestal, which is why it's so high, so that the lugs can kind of stick down through the bottom. Because we forgot that we got to have a passenger seat here. We don't have to, but obviously half the fun is taking people for rides and having fun with your friends, so got to have a passenger seat. So that pretty much catches you up with all the little stuff on this car. Everything definitely takes time, but yeah, just happy it's coming along. Hopefully, I mean, in this video, we're going to start this car. Okay, so current project. Let's get in here. I want to mount this oil pressure gauge. I really want to have one for when we start the car. So I got it hooked into the back of the block in there, and we're just going to mount it right up here. And then the other thing I want for startup is the wideband. So yeah, so I got this Innovate. I just stole this off the E46. So we need to make a plate that holds these. Figured out some rough dimensions. Basically just gonna kind of draw a square with 2 holes in it, and then 2 mounting holes, and the 2 mounting holes will screw onto these little clamps, and we'll just put these on the roll bar. Yeah, we'll just put those on the roll bar like that, and then that'll sit above it. It'll be great. Alright, got something loaded up here. Got my little drawing. Looks like that. Should work. Got some material, so just get this thing going. Be okay. We'll clean it up. And while we're making this, huge shout out to Brent, Garrett, and all the boys for finishing race week. Looked like a hell of a time. I cannot wait to do that race. Really hoping at the end of summer I can join them for the next one. But yeah, congrats to them. Awesome following along. So I'll put a link to the beginning of race week if any of you want to go check that out. Alright, easy enough. Make sure the gauges fit. Oh man. Alright. I mean, it's been said before, but not by me. But that's a big fire me up. That's a big fire me up. That fits super nice. Might be one of my better rough drafts. First attempt. She's good. Rock solid. Oh yeah. Alright. There you go. Cockpit. Important things to look at. Our air fuels. AFRs are good. Oil pressure's good. And the last thing I want to put here is the Solo 2 DL, which we'll put somewhere. And that'll have water temp and RPM, and we can set up warnings on that. And that's it for data on this thing. Well, I gotta mount this guy, huh? A lot of work to do. Better get to it. Okay, so the next thing I really want to do is I want to get this thing fired up. I think it's important to make sure that this motor does run and run okay before we get too far, get too close to the event. There's only, we're less than 2 weeks out, so I want to get this started up right away. We do have a PDM coming in, same as the one we have on PD. Same setup coming in. We got one of these PDM 25s from Andy Smedgard Motorsports. That combined with one of the Blink Marine keypads, and we should be good to go, but it's still a few days out, and I want to get this thing fired up and make sure everything's okay in case we have even more thrashing to do. So we're going to run some temporary wires. So we got fan power, we got the old fuse box, ECM, everything's connected to power. I've got a jumper here, so we're ready to run the fuel pump now. Connect that to power and the fuel pump will turn on. And I basically just want to purge out this line. So I've got a new fuel line on here, and I want to just put a bottle on there, run the fuel pump for a minute. But I remembered that there's no fuel in this fuel tank, so Gotta grab the C-Max and go pick up some fuel. Alright, so fuel should come out here. Assuming we got this test set up correctly. Got our bottle. And this should be fuel pump, and this should be hot. Oh, I heard something. Pretty quiet up here. Oh, we're good. She's good. Yes. Sweet. Alright, well that's a success. Fill this bottle up just to make sure everything's cleaned out, and we're good to go on fueling. Nice and clean, actually. When we had the fuel tank out, I did clean it, so that seems to have done the job, and new lines are clean, so we'll move on to the next step. Alright, got the fuel line hooked up to the fuel rail, so we'll just connect the fuel pump. Okay, so it's on now. We should be pressured up, so we'll give it a minute and check for leaks. Do something dumb here. Okay, good. Got fuel there. While I fill this with oil, figure we talk about the event for a minute. So, obviously, yeah, getting into drifting. And after talking with Josh Love for a little while and kind of spectating and doing this lightly for a year, seems like the fun thing to do would be to, go to the big show and go run Formula D. So the thing about Formula D is that it's basically like invite only. So you need to get licensed to be able to run it, and there's only so many licenses given out each year. So conveniently, our local series with Full Lock Drift decided to do a competition series this year, and got picked by Formula D to be a licensing championship. So yeah, that means that our local series is a Pro-Am championship. And the thing about that is the top 5 in the championship get a license and then are allowed to go run Formula D. So now we've already had the first comp. You saw me run Josh's car in that, and I'm not allowed to run my E46 because of the cage goes through the firewall. Not only does it go through the firewall a little, but it actually goes through the firewall 6 different times. So it's super not legal to run. So that's why we built this car. The first event has already happened, and I was able to win that. The next event is the 4th of July. So 4th of July coming up here real soon. Let's see, right now it is the June 20th. So not a ton of time to get this car comp ready. That's why the big push, and that's why I haven't been doing a ton of videos, because I've been busy building this whole new car just to be able to do this. And then this will be this will just be the Pro-Am car. If we get the license at the end of the year, we gotta build a whole other car to go run Pro Spec with the big boys. Now, Josh was out this weekend, and he was in New Jersey with Formula D. Ran his car, made it to the top 32, top 16, and then got bumped out. Fortunately, it was kind of a weird deal. What the judges said, and I don't know a whole lot about all this yet. Let's see if I can get the clip for you, but basically, he seemingly performed better than the other driver, but he entered one of the zones too fast and was therefore not on power at the beginning of the on throttle zone. So, not only is the course broken out into inside and outside zones, but then it's broken into decel and XL sections. And in the decel sections, you have to be decelerating, and on power sections, it's got to be wide open throttle. So, at least in their eye, they didn't think that he basically was too late in the decel zone, and then therefore too late to power in the XL zone. It's kind of a weird deal, but yeah, that was kind of upsetting. Looking at the video, I didn't see it, but fortunately it's not up for me to decide, and we've all got to play in their sandbox. So, but yeah, he was out there. Jack Davis, who I ran the last round against at round one, at the round one Pro-Am comp. Jack was there to kind of spectate because he also got his license and is also thinking of running. So yeah, could be a cool crew next year. All right, busy. Show you what I got. So now I have a coolant tank. I got hoses plumbed into the radiator, into the steam ports under the throttle body. I think I've got all the hose clamps on. I was just thinking that things were looking pretty good, and I remember this little itty bitty air filter and those big upgraded heads and that flowing exhaust, and I don't want to ruin it with this. So I do have, from some of the new LFX parts, got a fresh big K&N and a full velocity stack. So that goes to 3.5 inch. And what is on here? If you know anything about these mass airflow sensors and if there's something better I should be running, let me know. Anyway, this is what we got here. Yeah, pretty decent little filter. And it appears to be 3.5 inches. Downside is that looks like the silicone is a part of it, so we got to find a piece of 3.5 inch silicone. Alright, I did a dumb thing. You may have noticed that I've had the chain here for lifting the motor up, and the reason that it's still here is because I can't remove the bolt. So if we're going to start this thing, I really don't want this chain rattling around here. At least cut it down to just a couple links. Try not to cut any wires here. I had to put you down for that one. I think we're good. I'll just screw that back in there. If you hear a rattle, this is what it is. There we go. That's better. All right, got the air filter on. All kinds of stuff. Let's clear off these tools. Alright, I think we're ready to crank this over and see if we can get some oil pressure. So I'm not going to turn the ignition on. Let's see if this starter works. Ooh, wow, she's strong. Make sure we don't have anything leaking. Oh, it's just a fresh unit, I think. Give another go. Yes. There we go. Let that starter cool off for a bit. We'll give it another 30 seconds of cranking. Alright, got her jammed full of coolant. As much coolant in there as I'm going to get right now. Little cool down. Alright, she ought to be pretty well oiled, I think. I think it's go time. Got the O2 sensor plugged in. Just warmed up. We got fuel pressure, we got oil pressure. Let's do it. Oh, yes. Wow, fired right up. All right, as soon as we did that, I started thinking about things we're missing. So one, I could hear that I don't have the vacuum line hooked up over here. So we need to get the vacuum line hooked up. And I never rescaled the injectors, so got the new bigger injectors in there, so that's why it's running so rough. Still, just having it turn for even a second, super exciting. I can't wait. Alright, back to work. Alright, got the vacuum line on there now. Played around in HB tuners for a minute. I think I've got everything sorted out, so hopefully it's a little happier. Oh, give another go here in a minute. Gotta fill up my fan. Oh, never mind. It says it's ready. Nothing. Slight struggles, some learning, but I think I'm getting somewhere. That's okay. Let the cooling system bled. Oh man. Yes. Finally. Tired. There you have it. She's up, she runs. So many things now to go over and to work on. Hopefully in a couple days here we'll be able to take it out for a drive. Oh man. Whew. Basically been here for 24 hours now, so a little beat, but awesome. Hopefully I'll be back with you guys in a few days. We'll be driving the car. Hopefully lay down its first rubber here soon, but that's it for now. Please again hit that like button, and we'll see you next time.